So our team has got an interesting topic or project proposal for personal cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is usually viewed as an inside and outside issue. As such, it suggests that threats come from attackers from outside the organization. For instance, who want access and privileges from inside. I think this is the right way to approach security for an organization, but the insider threats must also be taken into account. But what about securing personal information? The use of this model is more limited when interacting with friends, family, or more intimate situations. And what happens, for instance, in relationships where one partner has substantial cyber access to the other's life? So we will examine these situations as well as existing cybersecurity models in this project. And we will look for cybersecurity solutions in more personal circumstances. In general, these factors happens a lot of the time, and it is hard to protect 100% privacies in these situations. There are precautions, methods to be taken towards getting prepared for unanticipated situations and eliminate the future chances of cyber attacks. To help address these privacy implications in complicated scenarios through research methodologies, Mohammed will be talking about methodology next.
Thank you, Saeed. So like my colleague has mentioned, there exist various types of threats when it comes to personal cybersecurity that have received minimum attention from cybersecurity communities and system designers. To add to among the scenarios that were discussed in the previous slide, domestic abuse is a notable example of a complicated personal situation that we'll be exploring in this presentation. So the threat model for a domestic abuser, we found out that it was completely left off from the online literature, and as such, we urge that this or such matters are highlighted more often as a major concern. In terms of methodology, we'll be talking about three main methodologies in this presentation. The first two are privacy impact assessment, and the second is surveillance impact assessment. All right, so these methodologies that we present in this presentation are inspired by several existing methodologies for privacy assessment and analysis. First, we adopt data exposure, data sensitivity, and the level of user control concepts from privacy impact assessments and the surveillance impact assessment. So these methodologies are used in practice to for the design actually and deployment of specific information systems to evaluate the risks versus the benefits when it comes to specific values for privacy and while at the same time offering intended services. So briefly, privacy impact assessment basically ensures the conformance with legal and regulatory requirements, such as the ones required by the Department of Homeland Security and the European Union General Data Protection Regulation. It also provides tools to determine the risks and effects of a system's data flow and to evaluate protections and privacy by design processes to mitigate potential risks. And on the next slide, we're going to be addressing the third methodology we implement in our present research paper. I pass it off to Jacob.
Thank you. The whole purpose of research methods is to provide us the necessary information in choosing methods, materials, and scientific tools, and training and techniques relevant for the highlighting the weaknesses of information privacy. We prefer the qualitative research methods over quantitative research methods because we believe it can relate to the specific data that we need to cover the topic of privacy within cybersecurity. Qualitative research is a process of collecting, analyzing, and interpreting non-numerical data such as language. The qualitative research can be used to understand how individuals subjectively perceives and gives meaning to our topic. we use surveys on Instagram polls and Facebook polls to give us our statistical analysis and our data. The participants we had were using surveys on social media, such as I explained, Instagram and Facebook. Our targeted audience involved anyone concerned with the topic of personal cybersecurity, which can reach a broad audience that is not limited to any gender, age, group, or race. Although the survey limitation that we had were small sample size and the participant background limited in subject matter. On the next slide, I will be explaining the survey questions we had came up with. So the survey questions that we came up with during the project, we set up a survey with 30 people from various backgrounds, asking them questions about their opinions on topics relating to the personal cybersecurity. These questions helped us support our findings on privacy and personal security. The question that we had came up with, the list examples are, what do you do when it comes to issue of personal cybersecurity? How important is privacy to you? And what application do you use that you feel has the least privacy? Privacy protects our information we do not want to share publicly. And the next slide, in survey analysis, Hayden will be talking to you.
Thank you. So during our project, we set up a survey with 30 people from various backgrounds, asking them questions about their opinion on topics relating to personal cybersecurity. The majority of the survey participants said that they felt the benefits brought by easier access in situations where close friends and family members that use the same accounts or are supervised by a main account outweigh the potential risks involved with data collection and asset access in general. For example, a potential risk present when having easier access to personal data is when it becomes a target for an abuser, such as someone you know, or having their privacy invaded through monitoring and surveillance tools provided by applications that offer more than the necessary data to the main account holder. Half of our survey participants feel that they are unable to effectively privatize their data today. This is despite them knowing that the existence of various privacy laws around the world, regulations requiring privacy notices and security technologies that help prevent unauthorized access. The main reason the survey participants do not feel safe is the lack of transparency and clarity with respect to the application data practices, such as domestic abuser being able to continuously monitor their victim's location through the use of a generic application that would provide such functionality. Also, when a person is living in close proximity with other people and sharing devices with others at the house, others are able to tell what a previous user has been researching and visiting based off the ads present to them at the time. Or in the case of sharing multiple profiles on one account, there is no privacy features between these profiles that separate them. Although some companies implement this feature on their own, most remain without them, most notably iCloud and Netflix, for instance. 70% of the survey participants told us that it's too hard for them to understand what's going on in regards to how their information is being used. As for the questions regarding their privacy and close relationships, we discovered from their answers that due to the close proximity of their loved ones and friends, they feel that it's normal to have their privacy invaded every now and then. This is partially due to applications not providing enough privacy-centric functionality, and partially due to the understanding that they can't keep everything private when sharing accounts and other resources or when living with other people. This supports our expectation and research information in that there should be more done in terms of system architecture, whether it be smartphones, iPads, or computers, laws and policies, or educational workshops to spread awareness, which is some of what Samuel will be talking about in the next slide.
All right, thanks, Hayden. So for some alternative solutions in our backup plan, our analysis highlights the complex impact for the type of architecture on the privacy of cybersecurity systems. The frameworks of cybersecurity systems should seek to use industry standards as a means to control access to private information. The results of our survey analysis also highlights the complex impact of the type of architecture on the privacy of cybersecurity systems in personal situations. Given that private information is explicitly shared between different parties, a diverse set of privacy enhancing technologies, such as the combination of the zero trust model and 3 or 4 factor authentication protocols. Certain aspects of the zero trust model can be applied to personal situations, such as no implicit trust being given for certain resources, and also using either 3 or 4 factor authentication. Although this can be a solution, it will be cumbersome than most would want their personal network to be. Um, we also found that we should encourage programmers to be more aware of emerging standards and technologies for personal cybersecurity during software development. Embedding privacy in cybersecurity requires a new type of thinking, so to speak, regarding the balance of security and privacy. An important future work can be to identify and develop new metrics for quantifying the level of security protection and privacy harm of a given system. Future privacy aware cybersecurity solutions should also aim at minimizing data exposure, either by reducing network centricity or by providing more comprehensive data protection during transfer, use, and rest. These types of measures can help guide the future development and regulation of privacy-oriented cybersecurity systems. And lastly, we encourage a marketing campaign to educate people on personal cybersecurity and privacy. While most privacy policies and end user license agreements describe what type of data is collected by the system, these agreements are criticized for being too long and unreadable by the average internet user. Multiple studies suggest using notice and consent mechanisms instead that provide users with standardized interfaces that allow them to compare and understand the privacy practices of services with timely and contextualized information when decided which service to use, and also with choices that are actionable and are tailored to the user's preferences. So switching to a model such as that would also aid in helping people understand personal cybersecurity and privacy. And for the next slide, I will pass it over to Mohammed for our conclusion.
Thank you, Sam. So basically in this presentation, we analyze the privacy implications of cybersecurity features and frameworks. We find that almost all cybersecurity features and frameworks require some access to personal sensitive information. Since different privacy preserving techniques have been proposed to mitigate specific privacy threats when it comes to personal cybersecurity, for example, anonymization and obfuscation of data to decrease the sensitivity of personal data. We believe that the identification of the privacy risks involved in a specific aspect of personal cybersecurity frameworks can offer guidance in not only choosing one technique over the other, but more importantly in designing more privacy-aware cybersecurity technologies with little or no compromise with regards to their effectiveness level in protecting from privacy invasions um, by people in close relationships. As such, our analysis shows that the need for designing privacy enhanced features and frameworks for cybersecurity for all sorts of cybersecurity situations, specifically personal cybersecurity in this scenario. So privacy-aware cybersecurity solutions can and should control data exposure by choosing privacy-oriented architectures, or by providing more advanced protection to surveillance data. Such solutions must also be transparent to the users with respect to the type of information they collect, as well as disclose. Um, Also be more explicit about their privacy and their security implications. And lastly, provide a better level of control. With this, we hope to conclude this presentation, and we hope to have informed you with enough with new knowledge about this topic, and And thanks to everyone for listening. Thank you so much.